And one of the things that we get when we fast and pray as a body is the unity of the Spirit. We become a whole lot more united. And you know, the unity of God's people is very important to God. Not many Christians realize how important that is to the Lord. Some may even know that it is important, but they don't know how to go about it. And so instead of doing things that unite, they may actually be doing things that divide. For example, you must know that there's a difference between your brothers and sisters in the Lord and those outside. He always wants us to have that understanding. When you look at the scriptures, in the New Testament, he tells us how to relate with one another. Those inside the house and those outside are not the same. In Galatians chapter 6, just as a very simple example, there are several others, the 10th verse says, as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men. It says do good to everybody. Then it says, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Especially. So you see, he wants you to treat God's people specially. It says be good to everybody, especially to those of the household of faith. So there's a preference. There's a preference. We may argue inside the house, but it is wrong for us to argue outside. When we are outside, we look for where we agree with each other and keep out the areas where we disagree. We discuss that when we get back inside. That's how you do it. We don't argue at each other outside. Because we must not give sinners a reason to reproach the Lord or even reproach the church. Some don't understand that. They don't understand it. So you may not realize that you actually offend the Lord when you do that. Remember, one of the signs he gave, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, if you have love one for another. And then you look at in Philippians or I might even just, let me give you this. The apostle's final words in his 1 Peter chapter 3, look at verse 8. It says, finally, be all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous. That's amazing. And it says, be all of one mind. That's the way he wants us to deal with one another. I want to read another portion to you, and I want you to observe his writing. In Philippians chapter 1, reading from verse 9, a fairly long portion. It says, in this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge. See, your love can grow in knowledge, because the less of the words you know, the less you can operate, live, and demonstrate the love of Christ. But he wants your love to abound more and more in knowledge and in all judgment. Judgment, how you decide between right and wrong. That you may approve things that are excellent. That you may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ, being filled with the fruits of righteousness which are by Jesus Christ unto the glory and praise of God. Amazing. You think of the kind of behavior he expects of us. Even among ministers, a lot of times, there are ministers who take on other ministers in public because they're ignorant. They don't understand that that is forbidden. See? If you don't agree with him, stick to what God called you to do and leave that one alone. Do what God called you to do. The Bible says, who are you to accuse another man's servant? says, to his master he standeth or falleth, and yea, God is able to make him stand. It's up to God, not up to you. He told us to learn from, he gave animals as examples in different things. We can learn from animals, and we can learn from sinners. Did you know that? There are things he told us to learn from animals. There are things he told us to learn from sinners. Even demons, Jesus talked about how the devil is united. He says Satan doesn't cast out Satan. He says, otherwise, how will his kingdom stand? So you can see how his kingdom has withstood the test of time, because they understand the secret of unity. You understand it. And hear what I'm telling you. When we are outside, you find where you agree with your brethren. And that's where you discuss. Don't get off on the tangent and never find where you agree with sinners. Always be, listen, this is war. You have to understand the art of war. The art of war. When you're in a warfare, you play by certain rules. Otherwise, you're not qualified to be a soldier. You're a soldier, all right, but you're not, you shouldn't be at the war front. They need to send you to the back. Go help the wounded. Maybe that's better for you. You might learn a lot from there. But in the art of war, some very quick things to understand. Number one, you determine your adversary. You got to know who is your adversary. Otherwise, if you don't know, you're shooting in every direction until you kill even those on your side. You determine who is your adversary. Then don't publicize his strength. Never publicize the strengths or good sides of your adversary. It's a mistake. You don't do that. You don't do that. Not at war. You never do that at war. If you know his strength and good sides, don't make them public. Use them to learn. Otherwise, by publicizing his strength and good sides, you give him an edge over you. First, you're strengthening him. Then next, you're increasing his supporters. Instead, you magnify and publicize his weakness and wrongness. That's what you do. You zero in on his weakness and on his wrongness. How wrong is his view? Because you've determined this is the adversary. Have you ever heard people say they play the devil's advocate? You never do that. Never do that. Never do that. Never do that. Never be the devil's advocate. Remember, he is never right. Just remember,